Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Remote Work Wednesday. It is just barely afternoon, and we anticipate we'll have more folks joining us. Welcome to Remote Work Wednesday on behalf of the Online Initiative and the K-State Research and Extension Community Vitality Team. My name is Ron Wilson. I'm director of the Huck Boyd Institute for Rural Development at K-State. Huge thanks to Deborah Cole, who is program leader coordinator for K-State Research and Extension Community Vitality and running our session today. Remote Work Wednesday is a project of the Remote Online Initiative. You see the graphic there, and the website is www.kansasremotework.com. Through that initiative, we're offering month-long online classes that enable participants to become certified as a remote work professional or a remote work team leader. Those are the options for those classes. And from that, we began this Zoom call each month for anyone interested in remote work. Our goal is simply to learn about the opportunities and challenges of working remotely or in a hybrid context for those who choose it. So it's a free call on the second Wednesday of each month, and we invite you to join us. Today, we're honored to have Lee Rubin, the co-founder and CEO of Confetti, coming to us from Florida today. As I understand it, she first came up with the idea to help companies plan better corporate events back in 2014 when she was tasked with conducting an event for her team and thought there had to be a better way. And that led to the founding of Confetti, with a priority of helping teams, companies, groups create a vital and effective culture. Lee is a leading pioneer of the virtual event space. In 2020, she pivoted Confetti from in-person to virtual team building in the depths of the pandemic, joined by Allie Brown, who is also with us from Confetti. Confetti is said to be loved by 9,000 plus companies, including some folks you might have heard of, such as Google, Facebook, Spotify. Lee has been named as one of the top 40 entrepreneurs under 40 and as an Inc. 200 top female founder. So we're delighted to have Lee with us. Lee, if you would, tell us about yourself, tell us about Confetti and opportunities for virtual team building.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. We have a nice, small, intimate group, so I want to try to make this as relaxed and as conversational as possible. I'm going to share my screen so we can get started if that's all right. Is that all right with you, Ron?
Great.
Perfect. Awesome. So let me know if you can see it.
Looks great.
And I'm realizing one thing's. Let me hold on. Sorry. I'm sneaked away. Technical difficulties. Too many tabs, you know? Who suffers from too many tabs? Sorry guys. Need a second. Yeah, I don't know where it went. Okay, but now I'm back. All right, so I'm gonna do this advanced section. Maybe that's gonna help me. Portion of my screen.
Looks good.
There we go. All right. Awesome. So Ron, thank you so much for the introduction. I wanted to share a little bit about me, but Ron did such an amazing job. I'm Lee, I'm your host for today. I'm the founder and CEO of Confetti, and I'm one of the world's experts on employee culture and event planning, specifically virtual team building. And things move really faster. We now have over 10,000 companies that we've worked with. And we're really the easiest way to discover, plan, and book unforgettable virtual and hybrid employee experiences, everything from hosted games to shippable classes. And it's the only platform that takes care of the entire event planning process end to end with a happiness policy. And it truly has something for everyone. I don't want to spend too much time on Confetti, although there will be an opportunity for us to do a demo, and I'll show that towards the middle end of the webinar. But this is just some little kind of shameless bragging if we can. We're soon approaching our 2 million participants served. So it means 2 million employees that have done an event with Confetti. And as Ron said, we started off helping companies build stronger cultures in the office, and then we pivoted over during the pandemic. And we're now really the leading solution for remote and hybrid teams on how to develop a good culture when people aren't gathering together physically. Um, Today's agenda. So, why do companies usually come to us? Maybe those things will resonate with you. Why does team building matters? What are the key drivers of engagement? What are the 6 levels of company culture? A prescribed cadence that we recommend for all companies to consider when looking at culture initiatives, the value and consistent team building, different various use cases and reasons to do team building, so you can have that in mind. And then we'll end with a quick demo on how Confetti can help create meaningful experiences potentially in your team if that's something of interest. So companies come to us for 4 main reasons. One of them is, and maybe this is familiar to you, but remote work doesn't really allow for those just hanging around the water cooler kind of moments. And the second one is scattered and disjointed teams all over the world just aren't meshing. The latest merger and acquisition has combined different cultures from different companies. And the last one is new managers aren't really leaders yet. So, and they need to learn still about how to care about culture. I know it's a small team. If we've got a shy group here, we can use the chat function, but does this resonate with any of you? So you can use a chat to write your thoughts, but it would be great to kind of get that participation going. So I want to also use the chat to do one other question here, but having a friend at work makes people more engaged, honest, and productive, and less likely to leave the organization. Do you guys strongly agree, neither agree or disagree, disagree? You know, where do you guys stand in this realm of having a friend at work makes people more engaged, honest, and productive? We got a strongly agree here. We got an absolutely. Awesome. So people instinctively want to have a close, trusting relationship, right? In work and in life. And having that best friend at work really contributes to that thriving employee experience and to the communication, the commitment, and all the other outcomes that organizations try to provide. And what we find is that people don't realize really how powerful the benefits of team building is. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But based on decades of employee engagement research, Gallup has done, and they know that engaged employees produce better business outcomes than other employees across industry, company size, nationality, and in good economic times and in bad economics times. But only 23% of employees worldwide and 33% in the US fall into an engaged category. So really interesting that, you know, the majority of most workplaces are disengaged. And another stat is that 1 in 6 workers are less likely to leave a company if they have a workplace relationship. And 63% of workers say friends make work more enjoyable, and 95% of teens rank having a job or career something that they enjoy as a top priority for their future adulthood. And I think the element of the fact that 95% of teens rank having a job or career they enjoy as a top priority is something that we will need to evolve as organizations in order to make sure that we are bridging that gap. And like, it's no longer like what it was, 40, 50 years ago, where the mean boss is cool or the mean boss is acceptable. First of all, I appreciate all of your input. Mary says, I agree, but other things have to be there too. Totally agree with you. It can't just all be about fun and games. I think she meant more important to keep employees from leaving, but not making them stay. I totally agree. You don't want to force an employee to stay at a job, because then disengaged employees is also not beneficial. So completely agree. The top predictors of whether you leave your work is whether it's toxic. And I think that kind of plays in really well into what Mary is saying, right? It's one of the top predictors of and one of the top predictors of staying in even a toxic workplace is having a best friend at work. We kind of went over one of this, but 32% of American workers feel enthusiastic about their job. So most of them don't. And that's just not ideal, as full-time employees spend more time at their jobs than they do with their friends and family, right? I mean, we're here working 9 to 5, sometimes earlier, sometimes later. And for employees who are not engaged at work or actively disengaged, this research states that $8.8 trillion annually as untapped productivity opportunity for global workplaces. So tons of money that is essentially going wasted on that disengagement. And I think it's a shame because people do want that purpose. I think that the minority of people are just like, not wanting to have a job that they actually care about. But the majority of people do want to find meaning within their work. They want to be known for what they're good at. And this is all coming back to why team building matters. So a little bit more stats here, but statistics show that around 75% of employees report better communication with peers after participating in a team building event. And employee satisfaction increases by up to 50% when surrounded by people with whom they are friendly. And there's a few other stats here from Gallup as well. But they did a research, and they found when comparing employee engagement levels, Gallup found that top and bottom quartile business units and teams had the following difference in business outcomes. So they had a decrease in absenteeism, an increase in profitability, an increase in productivity and customer loyalty. And they did it on a few different like factory quality related jobs that were, and they found that there was also a decrease in defects, which I thought was really interesting. So whose job is employee engagement? A lot of people say that employee engagement starts at the top of an organization, and that is something that I really believe in. But also something I believe in is that culture really is something that is a shared responsibility across everybody in the organization. And, if you're a really large organization like Kansas State, you might not have a relationship with the CEO or whoever else. So your direct manager is going to be the one that contributes to your culture. And once executives are committed to culture, managers are essential to that engagement. And in fact, 70% of the variance in team engagement is determined solely by a person's manager. So another, really important reason to continue to empower managers at all different levels of the organization, because the employees that they're reporting to, that's the ones that matter. So Confetti's vision is to help distributed teams build high-performing cultures and ones that compete with those that are in person. So last few stats for you, but 92% of workers feel it's important to work for an organization that values their well-being. Now, workplace stress can particularly be felt with remote work. I don't know if this resonates with you all, but there's just like a lack of boundaries, right? There's no separation between your office and your home. The accessibility of the technology makes it harder to switch off because everything's just connected with your phones and your computers that are in your office that are pinging. There's also a bit of social isolation. Because you're not going into the office, there isn't those little water cooler moments. And work can often feel a bit more transactional without these like small moments of interaction. So we're starting to head towards the positive stuff of all of this of this presentation, but there's a handful of key drivers of engagement. So purpose, development, a caring manager, ongoing conversations, and a focus on strengths. And I feel like this is very much tapping into, Mary, what you were kind of alluding to, but like there's other things out there than just having a friend at work. These are some of the key drivers of engagement. Employees need to have more than a fleeting, warm, fuzzy feeling and a good paycheck. And even if it helps them respond positively on employee engagement survey questions, and in order to like invest it in their work and achieve more in your company. And as we said, like people want that purpose. People want meaning from their work, and they want to be known for what makes them unique. And this is truly what drives employee engagement. If you can take one piece of advice, I will try to end this meeting maybe 5 minutes early and use those 5 minutes to think about who's one person that made my day better, my week better, my month better. And I say month from like a professional context, right? Who went above and beyond to help you with a task, who was super present with the meeting that you had, and just write them a nice little note, send them a message, send them an email, and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about how amazing you were on a call the other day, and I really appreciate it. I really felt like you gave your all. I saw that you were listening. You were super responsive on how you acted on all the details. Like, make a very kind of like personalized comment. And so we'll try to end 5 minutes early and just see the effect of how people are like going to be like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet of you. You made my day. And so just utilizing that, focusing on strengths, the caring of a manager is really going to help improve culture immediately. It's like free, there's no excuses on budget. And people just want relationships, and particularly with a manager who can coach them to that next level. And that's one of the big things that drives employee engagement. Awesome. So I like this little I don't know what to call it, like past versus future thing. And if you're welcome to take a screenshot as a reminder if it's helpful. But in the past, we cared, and I'm saying our past, this might be our current present, but this is this culture shift that I think is worthwhile for you to consider. Like in the past, the employees only care about their paycheck, but I want to shift that mentality to employees care about their purpose, their meaning, what it is that they're providing to that organization. In the past, they cared about their satisfaction, but in the future and right now, they care about their development. They want to know where they're going, their career progression. They want to know that they're learning and that you see that they're growing. In the past, it's a boss, but in the future, it's a coach, right? This is somebody that you're pairing up with, you're teaming up with to create a feedback life cycle. In the past, it was an annual review, but now it's ongoing conversations. It's weekly or bi-monthly, whatever it is, one-on-ones. It's giving feedback on, hey, what's going on? I'm listening to the problems that you have, and I'm going to give feedback directly about what's positive and what's not positive. In the past, it's about just focusing on their weaknesses, but in the future, we're also going to focus a lot on their strengths. And in the past, it's about just their job, but in this new world, it's about their life as well. So looking at each person, not just as an employee, but as a human being on this crazy big planet or small planet, whatever it is, I don't know anymore, and about their lives as a mom, as a dad, as a caretaker, as a dog person, whatever it is that kind of rounds them off. So Deborah and I teamed up on this slide, but why does team building matter? It builds connections. It's stronger interpersonal relationships, improve team collaboration. It boosts morale, right? Engaged employees are happier, they're more productive. It encourages collaboration. It breaks down the silos. It fosters trust. It enhances communication. It reduces burnout. It's fun. It's purposeful activities that help the team recharge, and it attracts and retains talent. Employees just value a positive, connected culture. This isn't rocket science. I know that if you guys just think about yourselves, all of this will make sense. So I like to talk about the 6 levels of company culture. So there's team culture, departmental culture, company-wide culture. Those are the 3 main ones. And then you have cross-departmental culture. Those are departments that you work closely with. And interest groups like ERGs, and agile teams might be these teams that you work together. You usually don't work together, but there's some kind of special project going on and you guys are kind of new to working together. The team culture is the most important culture that you have. These are, quite frankly, the most important because you spend the most amount of time with them. These are like, the 5-10 folks that pretty much every single day of the week, you're talking to them almost every day. The department is still important because it makes you feel like you're not alone. You're a part of something greater that helps. And then the company is, of course, important because there's a vision that you subscribe to. There's a reason why you became part of that organization. And so it's important to alternate which cultures you're focusing on. And that really comes to my next slide, which is about the cadence. So ideally, you should be considering a cadence of touch points around once a month. And I believe this remote online initiative is once a month. But if you don't have the capacity to do team building once a month, it's too much, then you should consider doing an initiative once a quarter. And this is the most common breakdown that we see from organizations. So kicking off the start of the year either with a team event or a company-wide event. But you see here, because the team is the most important, you actually want to do those twice a year, and then department once a year, and then your company-wide once a year. That way, every quarter, it's something fun, it's something fresh, and you're tapping into one of those three core cultures. Of course, you can consider cross-departmental, as we said, or different interest groups or different agile teams. And that's where the once a month comes into place. And it's not that every employee needs to attend every single event, but you want to try to ideally create a cadence where every employee tries to go to half of those events, right? 6 to 8 of those events per year, and really making sure that you're creating a curriculum of activities that keeps them excited and keeps them engaged. So one thing I want to end on this slide is I mentioned we work with over 10,000 organizations. I've personally interviewed thousands upon thousands of HR members. If you don't have a process for team building, know that you're not alone. And most companies do not have an established process when it comes to helping improve their team culture. And I think that, a lot of HR folks and people in general have a really positive intention, right? It's why we're all here. There's a positive intention to make culture better. But it's kind of like going to the gym, where if you don't have it scheduled and if you don't have a process or a system, you're most likely not going to go. It's probably going to become an afterthought. And planning these culture initiatives ad hoc just doesn't work. And we are leaving this extremely important element to chance. And working on culture, as I said, is kind of like going to the gym. You need a plan, you need a schedule, or just it ends up getting under prioritized. And when there's no accountability, there's no follow through. So I encourage you to create a system that works for your organizations. It's just always going to be an afterthought if it's not if there isn't a plan. So the value in consistent team building. So it reinforces values and keeps team dynamics strong. Hybrid and remote work demands creative ways to maintain connection and culture. And investing in team building shows employees that they matter. And this is a very simple comparison that I like to make. It's like dating. It's like going on a date with your significant other. You can't just do it once a year, slap on a sticker that says, "We did it, happy holidays, another year has passed." We got to be more consistent with our team building initiatives, and that helps create, a consistent sense of connection and momentum. And there's so many different creative ways that you can do, and it doesn't have to feel forced. There's onboarding new employees and say, we hired a lot of people this year. We should all come together. We want to introduce you to one another. There's quarterly planning. Every quarter, there's a new set of initiatives, or every year there's a new set of initiatives, coming together to review those initiatives and making it fun. Doing an employee appreciation day, or just it doesn't have to be there's I think a specific day in March. I forget exactly when, but it doesn't have to be on a day. Find your own employee appreciation day. Figure out what celebrations as a holiday you guys stand for. So I'm just making something up, but maybe like Netflix would want to celebrate National Movie Day because that, fits with their brand and their culture. So figure out what works best for your organization and use that as a reason to celebrate. Any post-project recharge, any celebration of wins, any, if you feel like conflict is starting to arise, everybody's in a bad mood, everybody's catty with one another, it's probably a good time to get everybody together and honestly just have fun and humanize the workplace, taking a step back from work. There's so many different ways that we can insist on. I actually am going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to move to the demo portion of the presentation, and I want to also show you some good resources while we're here. Do do do. Portion of screen. All right. I think yeah, there we go. All right. I think you guys can see my screen, right? Awesome. Let me see if yep, no, we're good. So we have an amazing resource on Confetti. It's totally free. You can visit us at withconfetti.com. I'm actually going to go in our demo environment. You guys can't go in our demo environment. It doesn't matter. It's just so we don't create a bunch of fake events on the platform. But there's a section here called tips and ideas, and specifically under the Knowledge Hub, but you can see all of these different resources here. And I love these engagement calendars. There's employee engagement, wellness, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And you can see exactly what are some fun and creative ways you can engage your workforce. So March 1st is Employee Appreciation Day that I was trying to fish out, but like there's all kinds of fun, creative things. National Star Wars Day, Administration Professionals Day, National Intern Day, or you can look at the diversity, equity, and inclusion, see, Black History Month, and then click into that, see all the different experiences that we have related to Black History Month, and a quick note on our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. But all of our experiences are created by the representative culture that we are putting putting here. They are also, for the hosts and the facilitators, they are of the representative culture of those experiences. So just know that this is authentic content. And if you were interested in, let's say, a Black Culture Impact class, everything that you need to know about putting together the event is directly on the website. You can see how many people can attend, how long the event usually lasts for, and then putting an estimate is as simple as putting your expected headcount and getting an instant quote directly on the website. Any other questions that you have is all on here. So how it works, you have the frequently asked questions. And if you ever need anything, there's a little blue icon on the bottom right that is for chat support. We are here for you every step of the way. Sorry, my dog. Is there anything that's included? Can you guys hear me with the dog? Or is it, I think my front door knocked open. Can you give me 1 second?
Perfect case in point of remote work life.
I I love remote work, but this is my biggest fear always is like, when will the dog start barking in the middle of a webinar? And honestly, I went how many years since the pandemic and it hasn't happened until today. So I'm like, you know what? It's okay. We got a small group going. So yeah, someone knocked on our door. It was a missed package. So can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So you have here all different types of customizations. So whether you want remote participation or hybrid participation, and I think it's important to mention what our hybrid participation means for Confetti. But hybrid means a mixture of everybody in the office or a mixture of some people in the office and some people remotely. As long as you understand our host and facilitator is going to be on a virtual screen, but all of the customizations that you might need for your event is directly on there. You can select your date and time. Anything that's green has instant availability and booking. And literally, I won't bore you with the next pages, but you pay and you're done. Anything that you need afterwards, from invitations, RSVP lists, everything is handled if you would like it to be from Confetti, but we provide you with all the resources and you can kind of pick and choose what you like, and you get to just be a participant and enjoy your event and come day of and not have to worry about all the mishmash of planning and the logistics and the vendor coordination and all that fun / non-fun stuff. I want to pause here. Any questions that you guys have that I, can chime in with before I go back to the presentation? All right. Well, then we will jump still straight in, but please feel free again to interrupt. So, just some fun kind of reasons why customers love Confetti. We have unique and fresh ideas, over 400 experiences on the platform, but a new experience launches every single week. So there's really something for everyone. And if you ever don't know what you should book, or you're like, hey, I don't know, give me some pointers, use that chat support, and we will help you find your next event. Ultra simple planning, as you saw through the demo, we have a happiness commitment, which is just something very special. If you guys had a bad time, we will give you your money back. We're not in the business to, make sure that we want to make sure that you guys have a great time. We talked a little bit about the dedicated support team, the event briefing and invites, and our cherry-picked hosts. And some sample activities that Deborah thought would be helpful for you to know, but wellness and mental health workshops, so things like guided meditations and stress management workshops. And in learning and development, we have different leadership trainings and cultural awareness experiences like the diversity, equity, and inclusion collection that I showed to you all earlier. Seasonal fun. So this is our busiest time of the year. We've got all kinds of fun things for holiday parties, holiday bakings, virtual escape rooms. And you also just got classic team building items like trivia, scavenger hunts, murder mysteries, mixology classes. So these are some helpful resources. Yeah. Other than that, we're almost towards the finish line here. This is my last slide for you. But many customers of ours that have reached a certain level of maturity, they're quite large. There's all kinds of different resources and features that we have to simplify their procurement process. So something worthwhile noting, there's a budget management tool. There's ways to distribute the responsibility of planning in a really seamless way. We can work with your legal team for a streamlined master service agreement. I don't know if any of these buzzwords kind of, pull a chord or ring a bell, but so, depending on certain spending levels, these actually doesn't cost money for most of our customers. So it really is worthwhile checking in with us. We have these amazing reports and analytics that I can, show you, but these companies get these beautiful dashboards. They can see who spent what, how much, what are their top experiences, what do they book when, get access to receipts and invoices. So just really helpful tools that are at your discretion depending on how big your organization is. Yeah, so this is all I got for us today. How are we feeling? How are the vibes, barking aside, because the dog is now relaxed here?
Well, Lee, I have a question for you, and thank you
Please.
for a really terrific and informative presentation. And the notion of cadence, for example, the sequence, the planning, the intentionality of doing these team building experiences really struck me. But my question, I did spend some time on the With Confetti website. Very impressive, an amazing depth of resources there.
Yeah.
And as I looked at some of the different activities, it said 60 minutes, 45 minutes. And I guess my question is, a lot of us are impatient and we have this short attention span.
Yeah.
What's the right investment of time for team building as opposed to the task function that might follow, for example?
Yep. Yeah, so look, I mean, I think that there's a balance. We do have experiences that are short format content experiences that are 30 minutes or less if you want things that are a little bit bite-sized. But what we find is a lot of companies worry about the time frame coming into an event, but then once they're there, they were like, "Oh my gosh, that 60 minutes flew by," and we were like, "We wish we got to stay longer," and like all this other stuff happens, because you can't constantly. Again, I like to compare things back to dating. If every date that you had with your significant other was 15, 30 minutes, you're like, "Oh my God, you really don't want to hang out with me. You want to get out," like so. you don't have, I would start off with, doing that one event, seeing how everybody reacts to it. And there are short format experiences. One of the experiences that's a little bit on the slightly pricier side, but I'll show it to you because I think it's a really powerful. We have all these different, like we call them pubs, but there's like a coffee house experience if you want to stay away from like the pub alcohol-y type. And the great thing about these pubs, these are actually relatively long events. I give me a second. That they're usually 1 to 2 hours long. But the beauty about this is that it's actually not necessarily required for you to show up at that time. You can come in for 5 minutes, leave, go back to your meeting, jump back in for another 15 minutes during that 2 hour segment. You can come whenever you want for however long you want. You can stay there for the full 2 hours. And there's different rooms within the event that has a little bit of something for everyone. We have incredible live musicians that hang out in the main room, and some people just end up sucked in there listening to people just very talented in a very talented way sing and play instruments. They, request songs. It's really, really amazing. And then they can also go into different rooms with different games, different conversation rooms. And again, this is a great experience for people who are like, hey, we're really busy. I don't know if we have an hour to give you, but I want to plan something and I want people to come in and out. So just tell us what your concerns are, and our support team will definitely do our best to kind of point you in the right direction of, what's the right experience for you.
I appreciate that example. I think of a former boss of mine who would really relate to this, and I think she would make the point that in investing some time in this will pay off in productivity in the long run.
Yeah,
and so that's a great case to make.
totally. And, like, hey, you don't have to do the 60-minute events every time. You can play around and do something short one time and something a little longer the next time, and get a feel for how people are reacting to it. There's a lot of playing around. You got to see what works. You got to see what people like, what brings the participation, how to market to them.
Let me see if there are other questions from anyone on with us.
No
Not
need
seeing
to be
questions.
shy. You can write in. You can unmute yourselves.
So I know you said, there are scalable opportunities. What would you say is there a sweet spot for numbers, or it just really is dependent upon the activity that you're doing?
When you mean numbers, you mean like the cadence of how many events to do per year, or?
Like participant numbers.
Oh, okay. So we have a concept, if I'm answering your question correctly, that's where you start off. Why did I blank out on the name? It's like we call it like start book now, increase later. Okay, there we go. But so you start with the lowest amount of head count that is required to book this experience. So let's say 5 people for a coworker feud. Start with the 5 people, and then go and get proper RSVPs from everybody on that you plan on inviting. And then there's on our platform, it will tell you up until what time can you increase. So in this event, it says you can increase it up until the same day of your event. So there's no issue if people come in, last minute, and it ends up going from 5 to 40 people. But this allows you to make sure that you're not overspending, because there is a cost difference between 40 and 5 people. In this case, it's $100, but still, that way you're not overspending. You can get those RSVPs and then decide. Another tip is that you'll learn to kind of understand your actual participation-ish rate. You'll find that like many companies, they'll plan for 50 or 75% of the people that actually said yes, or you'll see if your team is very, loyal, and whoever says yes are the ones that come. There's things that you can do to help improve that participation rates. There's a handful of resources in the Knowledge Center that's around participation and making sure that participation can go up. And I can I'll look for it and send it to you guys afterwards. But things that you can do is, just even communicating to people, hey guys, it's really important for us to get the participation right. If you write yes, we really expect you guys to come. It's okay if you guys need to change your head count up till the day before. But do your best to be mindful. And if you say yes, we want you to show up. Doing little Easter eggs before the event helps a lot. So if you're doing a trivia, you can do like 7 days of trivia before the event and like drop little like Easter eggs, and the first person to respond with the correct answer or whatever can get like a little $5 gift card or a charity donation of their choice or a swag item. Like you can play around, or you don't have to give anything, just like what's it called, like a positive accolades for just saying things, for participating.
I was thinking of another colleague who, would say that first time a group gets together, it's really important to do team building and so forth. Then, okay, that's out of the way. Now let's move on. And then I think of another coworker who would say every time somebody comes in or leaves a group, the dynamics of that group are different now. And so
Totally.
I think it makes the case for the ongoing cadence of team building. Would you agree with that? I'm sure.
100%. And if you run out of ideas, we have these amazing calendars. As I mentioned, they're even broken down by different types of departments like marketing or sales team. And you can see sales teams have like get to know your customers day or better business communication day. That are all kind of little cute excuses and reasons that they might want to celebrate, instead of just being like, hey, we're going to do an event January 27th. It could be themed towards something that they want to kind of put into the minds of the employees.
You're having too much fun with confetti. It's just as obvious that you guys have created a fun culture there. It's very creative and
Oh, thank you. We try. We try. Vulnerably, it's not always easy, even here at Confetti. And there are hard days, and it's always going to be work to figure out how to work with other people. People are complex, and but we definitely try, and we want other companies to try with us too, and to help us figure out the complexity and the mysteriousness of the human dynamic.
Absolutely.
Well, Lee, I have a question to that end too. A lot of the folks will be catching the recording here in a little bit, and also for Mary and Patsy who are on with us. You pivoted to
Yep.
the remote work in a pretty critical and crucial time. So I'd love to hear, what are some of the things, some of the lessons learned and strategies that you employ and your team employs regularly to be successful with one another, but also as a company.
Yeah. Well, with the pivot was very challenging because we were and helping companies put together events in person, and COVID came, and literally I felt like it was almost like a personal attack. That sounds kind of vain, but I was like, what? Like the one thing our business does is get people together. That's like the one thing that like we basically cannot do when there's a pandemic. And I think one of the interesting kind of takeaways that came out of this for me was actually, no, people are still going to get together because that's human nature. We like to stick together. We like to celebrate together. We like to persevere together. We like a challenge to overcome together. It just required a change in the medium. I think, another big lesson for us was there was just kind of no time to panic. We just went straight into solution mode. Every idea was a good idea. And we were just in a very experimental phase of life where we were just like, okay, we don't know if this is going to work. We don't know if people are going to be interested in virtual events, but let's try and see if we can replicate the experiences that people love in an in-person setting, in a virtual setting, and see where it goes. And I think within Confetti specifically, and I know a lot of companies struggle with this, but it's so important to create a feedback cycle and a place where employees can feel open and honest to share their experience. I do genuinely believe that team building can help with that, because if you just feel a little bit more comfortable with someone, you might be able to get them to actually share their real opinion because you laughed with them yesterday and you saw them for who they are. And I think that that feedback is just such a crucial element for any business to evolve and innovate.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
But I don't know if you guys plan on doing any kind of outro, but I know we said at the end of this meeting, if there was a few more minutes left, we would let each one of you go and take that time to write that positive something something to somebody. The more the merrier. You'll see, you'll get an instant, immediate feedback that's positive. So I really encourage and challenge each one of you to just write that one positive thing or few positive things to somebody that you think deserves it that you haven't said to it yet. And you'll see just that one act alone will help you change your culture.
That is great advice, and we will take that to heart. In fact, it makes me think that I ought to put on my calendar that each Friday, each first of the month, to send that positive message to someone in particular that I can extend appreciation to. What a wonderful idea. The world would be a better place if we all did
Yep.
that. Yeah.
I completely agree. And by the way, Ron, that's exactly what I do. I'm not joking. Every Friday, 9 a.m., I have a task for myself because I didn't come from a family where I got compliments. I'm going to be frank. I didn't get positive affirmations, but it was something that I learned over time that I need to work on and get better at. And so I'm like, okay, if it doesn't come naturally to me, then I'll schedule it and we'll just make a process for it, right? So that's a great tool to help you maintain that habit.
Well, thank you very much, Lee. Appreciate your outstanding presentation and the great work you're doing for people all across the country and beyond. Withconfetti.com is the website, right? And so
You
we
got
want to
it.
make sure folks have that contact info. Our
Yes,
next
and
remote work Wednesday, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you need absolutely anything, you can reach out to Allie. Allie will drop her email in the chat, and I will go ahead and drop my email in the chat in case you want to, talk shop, talk about culture. I'm here to help out.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you to Lee and to Allie. Our next remote work Wednesday will be on January 8th, 2025. Can't believe I'm saying that, but 2025 is here, right around the corner. Linda Jameson is a talent manager with Adams Brown she's in Great Bend. It's a distributed company and that has a great deal of experience in remote work. So we'll learn the challenges and opportunities firsthand about remote work from Linda. So we look forward to that. Thanks again to Lee and Allie and to Confetti for the great work you're doing to help create a more positive culture in our teams and companies across the country and beyond. So with that, on behalf of the Remote Online Initiative, thanks to all of you for joining us. Happy holidays, and we hope you have a wonderful Remote Work Wednesday. Good afternoon, everyone.
Bye.